Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Time for our conversation with the Minerals Commission and the CEO, Mr. Martin Ayisi, is here. Good morning, Martin. How have you been?
Oh, it's been a while. I've missed almost about 3 sessions. Unfortunately, they all coincided with official trips. So I had no choice than to make way for that.
So what are we looking at today?
The local content report for 2023 is out. And it's quite interesting what is contained in there. And I want us to look at a few things. I'll share a copy with you. Our relevant pages, and we'll have something put on the screen too.
Okay.
Our relevant pages will be 31 to start with. But before we look at 31, I will need to set the scene with what you have on page 5. Randy, before that, good morning to our viewers and listeners. So we'll look at page 5 as a way of setting the scene, and then we'll go and look at the report now.
The local procurement list.
Yes. We've been running this thing for 10 years. But the law properly came into force in 2020. So the first edition of the list was published in 2014. This will not be displayed on the screen. It's rather the one on page 31.
Okay.
2014. So those are the items that are listed there. And then in 2015.
So first edition of LPL.
Yes, that's a local procurement list.
It contained 8 items. It contained only 8 items. Grinding media, explosives, emulsion, cement, quick hydrated lime, electric cables, HDPE/PVC pipes, general lubricants, retread ties. These were the 8 items.
These were the 8 items. I saw your Annie was able to display. That would be nice.
Okay, just page 5.
Page 5. Page 5. Page 5 of the full report.
Right, we're getting.
Now, Randy, all this, and it's important we just spend some 5 minutes, set the scene before we go to the other one. All this came about because anytime the receipts come out, they said we don't get it to anything. It's just they pay taxes. They just pay the taxes and then royalties and go. And the state doesn't get anything. We don't own the mines. So we started this exercise based on some research in 2012, 13 now, but then we got the 8 items. In other words, it turns out that they use many of these items. So in 2015, 11 was added. 11 was added to the 2014 item. So you can see that in the far left column, I've written 19. The second edition, we added 11. So that means as at the end of 2015, the items rose from 8 to 19.
So we added bolts and nuts, crucibles, plastic sample bags, calico bags, bullion boxes, chain link fencing, including wire netting, barbed wire, etc., conveyor rollers, metal/PVC core trays, overalls and work clothes, haulage services, and catering services.
So yes, and then in 2018, for some reason there was some delay for almost about 3 years because these are supposed to be revised every year. So in 2018, we added an additional 10 items, the ones in green. So that took the items to 29. That is it.
So legal, in 2018, we added legal, security, insurance, financial contract, mining services, fuel supply, activated carbon, cable bolts and access, wear-resistant plates and couples.
Yes.
Okay. So that's it. It's on the screen now.
That is it. And then, so that is it.
So you can read. So it starts from the first edition, January 2014, with 8 items. Then the additions. So the items you see are the additions.
Yes.
We don't repeat the previous ones. So it's what is added at which period. So 2014, 2015, 2018, then 2022, because the items are a lot, they are not itemized. So we move from 29 to 41 for the 4th edition. That's early 2022. And for the 5th edition, 9 was added. We moved from 41 250. That's 2023.
So the revolution started after the LI that was published in 2020, where we rapidly moved the items from
19 to 50.
19. No, we added 19. We added, I think, 12 more.
Yeah, we moved from 19 to 50.
We moved from 29
Yes.
to 41.
Yes. The law was in 20.
The law was in 2020.
Yes. So subsequent to the law, there have been 3 additions.
Yes.
Which has moved it from 19 to 50.
Yes. So now, as you speak, we have 50 items.
Yeah.
We've completed some reviews and we'll publish a new one, hopefully this month, and increase it again.
To what?
Maybe 55, 56 thereabout.
Which can you tell us some of the items that you think you're adding?
Oh, it's normally we just add a few things, but what we do is that we increase the capacity for the Ghanaians.
The local.
So,
content.
for example, if you look at 2022 editions, okay, if you look at the earlier editions, the financial services that were introduced in 2018, it was 20%.
Yes.
For insurance and financial services. And then now, so when we published the 41 items, we now say 60%.
So we could even have the same number of items, but increase participation.
Yes, my focus more is in-country retention.
Okay.
That's a drive. So by and large, that is it. Now let's go back to page.
So just clarify something for me. So it means that not all these 50 items have 100% local participation.
Yes.
Not all.
Not all.
Okay.
So next week, I'll display the 50 items and split them into 3 categories. What is 100% Ghanaian? Like, let's say, fuel supply, catering, haulage, security.
So the levels of
yes.
Local content.
Yes. So there are basically 3. What is strictly Ghanaian, like fuel, contract mining, open pits. Then what has some percentages because we still don't want to create monopoly. And then the one that is, if you like, open, free for all.
Okay.
There were items that were once free for all. As you increase Ghanaian capacity, maybe 2 or 3, then you move it to like 20, 30, 40%.
Okay.
Then with time, if you have 5, 6 people and they are very good, 100%.
Right.
So I'll do that next week. But what is relevant today is page 31.
Okay.
I think they have that on the screen, and let me explain. Maybe I'll just do that quickly, and then next week we'll spend more time to go into the details. So if the producer can put that page on the screen, that would be very helpful. Randy, in 2022, page 31, just get to there, you see
6.0.
And page 31.
Is it like conclusions and way forward?
Yes, conclusion and way forward, 6.0.
Right.
And so Anne can put it on the screen, and that will help the discussion. So, in 2022, the total mineral export was 6.8 billion. That is receipts from mineral exports. Gold alone was 6.6 billion. Now, the filings of just 13 operations, not companies. I'll have to tell you the difference. I'll be very happy if she can put it on the screen, what I sent to her by email. And that will let, not this one. I have a word table that I sent her by email.
Okay, just go on. She'll look for it on.
Not this one. Not this one. She's still...
no, she'll put it back.
She'll just put it there. So, $6.6 billion came
Are you referring to this?
Yes, I'm referring to this.
Okay.
I'm referring to this. So this is 2023 report on expenditures on goods and services. That is 2023. Now, Randy, this report covers 13, operations. 13 operations. And then in 2022, what it is telling us is that nearly 1.9 billion of 6.8 billion was spent on goods and services by the mining companies. So that is about 29%. So it means that 29% of the receipts of the sale of minerals in 2022 was spent on goods and services by just 13 operations. That's about 1.9 billion. And these were, and it's important you get this point clearly, 29 items.
Yes.
29 items. Because when we were going through the list, you realize that I said in October 2018, we published a third edition.
Yes.
And that took the items from 19 to 29. So 29 items that were used by the companies in 2022, expenditures were 1.9 billion. Receipts 6.6. Then look at the difference now. So now you see the importance of reviewing the list.
Right.
So last year, $3 billion. These were items that were put on the list, 50. So we added 21 items, to the fourth edition, and we got 50 items, and then we spent 3 billion. Randy, sale of minerals in 2023 was about $7.8 billion. So if I do the mathematics, 40% of the receipts last year was spent on goods and services. That is it. So you can see the figure there. But there are some interesting things that the public needs to take account of. So you have what they call total procurement expenditure. If you look at your screen, total procurement expenditure.
Yes.
What it simply means is that is the total amount that was spent in 2022 and 2023. Now, the next one is total local procurement. Total local procurement. 2022 was a sterling performance. Then you also have total true local procurement. So those are the differences. I will want us to focus on the figure in red. So the nearly 3 billion was everything that the company spent on goods and services. And this does not include the medium-sized mines like Accra and Co. These are just 13 operations. Then you now have total local procurement. That is 2.4. Do you understand that? It tells you that the difference between the 2.9 and 2.4, the nearly 500 was imported. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
So it means that government policy at all materials times should be looking at closing that gap. You see the difference?
Clarify something.
So let me explain now.
No, not that.
Uh-huh.
I see total procurement expenditure. I see total local procurement expenditure. And then I see total true local procurement expenditure. What's that?
So you see, this is where government policy comes in. When you get a data like this, and this is what we will now advise government and say, this is what we need to fix. So when you say total procurement expenditure, I'm here saying that according to the report of 13 operations, they spent nearly 3 billion in procuring goods and services. Some of them were imported, some of them were procured locally. So that is the total expenditure, $3 billion. In fact, the figure is more than this because we've not added the medium-sized mines like Accra and Co. Those small ones. Now, so that is total procurement expenditure, and this is dollars. When you say total local procurement expenditure, that is roughly 2.4 billion. What was spent here, irrespective of whether the person is a Ghanaian or is not a Ghanaian. Okay? Then look at the last one, and that's what is important. So we use the term total true local procurement expenditure. So if you look at the 3 billion, total true local procurement expenditure is roughly about 1.5 billion, half. And that is manufacturers and services procured by Ghanaians. So it means that at the end of 2023, having looked at the filings of 13 operations, I don't want us to confuse operations and companies. 13 operations. The report shows that...
Is it because one company can have more than
yes,
one operation?
So for example, Newmont has, if you like, 3 operations now. They have a Ahafo, and they are building a new one, and they have Achim, but the filings are on the 2, Achim and Ahafo. So Newmont has 2 operations. Goldfields has 2, Takwa and Aboso. Do you get it? So between Newmont and Goldfields, 4
operations. Okay.
So out of the 13 that I've listed there, 4 alone are from 2 companies. Okay? And I'm saying about 3 billion was spent by all these 13 operations to procure all kinds of goods and services. Some were imported, some were procured locally. Now,
please put it back.
Yeah, put it back is very important. About half of that were services and things that were manufactured and bought from Ghanaian companies. That is, entities whose shareholders and directors are 100% Ghanaians. It means that the difference between the nearly 3 billion and 1.4 is accounted from 2 sources. Foreign companies that have set up here, particularly those that are in manufacturing.
That's about 1 billion.
Yes. No, 1.5.
No, I'm saying the one you give, that's about 1 billion. And
it's 1.5.
I'm getting that figure from the difference between total local procurement expenditure and total true local. Between the two is about 1 billion.
1.5.
Okay.
Total procurement expenditure is almost 3 billion.
I'm saying total local procurement as against total true local procurement.
Yes.
You've explained the total true local procurement.
Yes.
So the difference between total local procurement and total true local procurement is
about 1 billion.
Yes, that's the point.
It's a 1 billion. But I'm not even worried about that because they are here, they pay taxes. Increasingly, Ghanaians are entering that space. My worry is the difference between the 3 billion and the 2.4.
That's the 500,000.
That $500 million.
500 million, yes.
That is important.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we do is that we will list all those items and then now come out with an advisory opinion to government and say, you know something? This is how much the company spent in, let's say, the last 5 years. You run the report all the way to, let's say, the last one. And that's at 2023, that's about 500. 2022 was very good. Okay? I guess because of these new operations that were coming. So a lot of stuff came in. So then, these items that are imported, you know, where are they coming from? What are they? Can't we do them locally here? Don't we have local champions? We should. That's when now you have to look at cost of producing them. Can you compete with China? So you have to look at energy cost. So you see, there are certain things that just go beyond us. Okay? It's like this illegal mining thing. It's not just Mincom and the ministry. Do you understand? Because if this item is used by the mining company for the purpose of this discussion, and it's costing 1 cedi to import, okay? But it will cost you 2 cedis to produce here. It means that there's no way you can ask that it should be done locally here, unless you give incentives or you reduce the cost of energy. You are even worse off if the material used to produce the item is imported.
Right.
Then the issue of the exchange rate comes in now. So let's say around 11 cedis, maybe 2-3 years ago, roughly around 16 now. So you spend more to import them. So our worry are the raw materials that are imported because of the exchange rate. You understand? But I'm not too worried about the ones that can be, the items can be sourced here. Then that's when you also have to look at energy costs and other things. And then if you can compete with almighty China. So Randy, 40% of all the expenditures, of all the expenditures, you know, can be attributed. So, no, let me put it this way. If you take the total mineral receipt of 7.8 billion, 40% came from expenditures on goods and services. Can I tell you how much the mining companies paid on taxes and levies to government?
How much?
1.6 billion. So it means that, and then I was trying to look at table 11. Let me take you to table 11, but they can still stay there. Just look at table 11. Flip through, just look at the top there. You see table 11. So right.
Is it a summary of information?
Yes.
2020?
I put a
Overall
few things.
procurement.
Yes. Table 11. But Randy, I just want you. I want the lady to stay there. If the report from Minerals Commission is telling you that 40% of revenue receipts are spent on goods and services, 40%, and then that is about $3 billion, and roughly half of what was produced was sourced locally. It's almost equivalent to what was paid in taxes. Why the fixation with royalty and taxes? Because right now, 2 weeks ago, President went and cut the sword for a new mine in the north. That is a $700 million mine. Okay? Perhaps the third biggest. They will produce between now and December, but full production will be next year. They'll do around 300,000 ounces. Now, this 700 million, they will need to take the money back. If the price of gold stays like that per our models, maybe 2-3 years. But the bulk of this 700 million went to goods and services. So next year, when Cardinal files their report, because they didn't file this year, because they just started, they will be filing in 2025. Okay? So when we come out with the 2024 report, you will see that we'll be heading towards about 4-5 billion. You understand that? Yeah. So this is where the issue is. I'm not saying royalties are not important. I'm not saying corporate taxes are not important. But Cardinal, they are not going to pay corporate tax next year. Okay? But they are going to spend millions of dollars, if not billions, the whole of next year to procure these 50 items on the list. Is even going to go up. And I just realized in the 2023 report, okay, that $70 million was spent on TSF.
What's that?
Tailing storage facility.
Right.
An item we put on the list. December 2022. So it means that if we had not put that item on the list, the whole of 2023, this 70 million will have gone outside. So until January 2023, TSF was built by foreign companies.
Right.
From Australia, from Canada, from USA.
It was open.
It was open.
It wasn't restricted.
It was open. And even when we wanted to introduce it, we were told that, oh, we don't have the technology.
There was a pushback.
Only for us to realize that that of Takwa and Daman was built by a Ghanaian.
Yeah.
The same Ghanaian company that built that of Cardinal.
Okay.
So that's how far we have come. I'll wrap up, but more information will come next week.
Okay.
And just to tell you how the mines spend money. So here I am. I'm looking at the figure from Takwa. So go back to your table 11.
Yes, go on.
Table 11, Takwa Goldfields spent $583 million.
Yes.
Takwa alone, which until recently was Ghana's biggest gold mine, spent $583 million last year on goods and services. Randy, that is royalties for 2 years.
Total royalties.
Yes. You understand? Yeah. That is royalties for 2 years, like 2022, 2023. Takwa alone.
Yes.
And then look at Aboso Goldfields, 140 million. So it means that Newmont, Ahafo,
Yes.
which is 493 million. So Newmont spent almost 500 million. But they will now spend more than Takwa now because of the expansion that is going on. So between Goldfields and Newmont, that is Newmont Achim, Newmont Ahafo. Achim is down there, 188. Goldfields, Takwa, and Goldfields Aboso. If you put these four together, their expenditures on local supplies and services is the same as the entire taxes and levies to government of Ghana. So that is where a lot of people got the debate on the lithium agreement wrong. Because people were talking about, oh, why don't you make royalty 20%, 15%? You understand? Why? Because cardinal, they are not going to pay corporate tax now. Okay? If the gold price stays like that, because interest rates keep falling, geopolitics, aggressive buying by central bank, this heavy spending by Asians to buy gold, if the price of gold stays like that, then maybe 3-4 years, they'll recover the 700 million. You understand? Before they will start paying taxes. So what would they be paying? They will just be paying royalty because that is paid on revenue. But they will be spending millions of dollars every year on goods and services. So it tells you that all your policies, the bulk of it should be designed towards capturing and making sure that most of these goods and services are not only procured locally, but the ones that are also imported, with time, you get Ghanaians to enter, like Wayo Engineering and Co. Then when you are able to deal with the ownership conundrum, forcing them to list on the stock exchange, the kind of thing MIF is doing, because state ownership of mine, forget it. We messed up. It won't happen. So the kind of interest MIF is taking in Atlantic Lithium, Ashanti Gold, now they pour money into the graphite project in Upper West. Do you understand that? And encouraging Ghanaians to also buy and do all those things. We are looking at the possibilities, like in the next 4 or 5 years, when you get up and you mention a mining company, then you can say, oh, this is 100% owned by Ghanaians, like Ghana Bauxite. You mention maybe Ashanti, close to about 50% owned by Ghanaians. You mention another company, 40, another company, 30. And if we continue to put aggressively on the local content, then we can say, and then tackle almighty small scale, then we can say mining is benefiting us. So the last 3, 4, 5 years, these new policies have actually changed the space. Okay, look at explosives. Over $100 million on explosives. Cardinal has just commissioned. They are going to spend millions of dollars to break up those rocks there. In about 7 months, a Hafunof will also be commissioned. So between Cardinal and Hafunof, that's about 600,000 ounces. If you multiply it by 2 billion. So look at the explosives that will be spent in a Hafunof, Cardinal, when Azuma is ready, and Atlantic Lithium. So you may have about 400 or 500 million. So this is where the money is.
Right.
So almost all our efforts and policies should be geared towards ensuring that 100% or as much as possible, all these goods and services. I mean, can you imagine? $583 million spent by one company on goods and services. So it means that if we are not implementing these kind of policies, they will have been importing these things. Who were in this country when they were importing overall overall clothes for the mines? And when this country, when foreigners were selling fuel to the mine, 1957 independence, first large-scale commercial mine, 1897, over 126 years. Manganese started producing 1916, Ghana Bauxite 1941. So if you cannot manufacture excavator, Randy, if you cannot manufacture excavator and dump trucks, you want to allow foreigners to come and sell fuel? To come and sell fuel, lubricants, and provide catering services. We stop all that. So we are going to increase the list again. That is it. So I'm expecting that when the filings for this year come, we might cross 4 billion. Because as at October, receipts alone is about $9.3 billion. As at October. If you look at the latest figures from export of gold, not manganese and coal. So that, remember, somewhere in March, I predicted that export will be more than 10 billion, and we are almost there. So Randy, all our efforts, if you ask me, so let me just wrap up because I have a meeting at 11:30. All our efforts in this country, in mining, should be directed towards 5 things. What I'm just discussing, how the goods and services, the billions, the 3 billion that was spent just last year alone, everything can be procured here. Every policy should be channeled towards that, and that's our job. So arising from this filing, the fallout of this filing is an advice to government and say, take here, look at this place, look at this place. That's number one. Number two, we cannot sit down. I'm not, let me put it this way. When you say this, they say, oh, resource nationalism. I'm not against foreigners, but foreigners cannot own our mines forever. So we got to fix the ownership conundrum. That is why the stock exchange team, the MIF angle, and Ghanaians, and also hedge funds and co, we are asking them to pour money. Okay? Every day when I come here, every Thursday I come here, I mention SNIT. I started last year. The beginning of this year, the price of gold, average for gold in January was 2030. Okay? The price went almost all the way to 270, going to 200. And then after Trump's election, it dropped to about $200. Now it is around 2,600. So it means that you've seen more than 30% increase in the price of gold since January. So you could have imagined, again, let me repeat, if SNIT has taken, let's say, $10 million, see the equivalent of our money, okay, and has bought gold in January, and they are selling now, we'll all be celebrating Christmas. I was listening to DWTV, Deutsche Welle television. I think Metro captured it early this morning. I'm told that 70% of the reserves of Germany is in gold. China is 4.6%. So for me, that's the second one. You address the ownership conundrum, fix this local content in which we are doing very well, address small scale, which will tackle jobs. We're talking about 3 million. You understand that? And then also we need to fix manufacturing of inputs locally. Once we put all these things in place, then we can now behave like the way South Africans and Australians and Canadians, get up and say, so we're not done yet. Right. We're not done yet because we're seeing, 5 new projects, 1 gone. Kaduna is gone. So next year we'll commission at Ahafo. Then 2026, most likely lithium will be ready. Azuma will be ready. And then the manganese refinery will also be ready. So we'll end here for now. And as we capture the medium-sized companies and we increase the number of companies on the list, that is it. So when I say money is our DNA, it is. I know just like the 35 million Ghanaians, including you and I, the issue of illegal money is still a nightmare. It's not gone away. But we need to celebrate.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so in celebrating, a couple of weeks ago,